Several years ago, the boys and myself started looking around. We were looking for somewhere where we could stay, fish, and just have some fun. And this turned out to be the place, Garnfrude. So we enjoy this so much, we book it each year. And what we do, we book it in April. So we're trying to target the fish when they start to feed on the buzzers. So we've got the cabin for 4 nights for the second week of April, and it's self-catering. And on the trip with me is Steve and Sam. Steve is there on the left. Now these pair are really good fun, but you can't turn your back on them for 2 minutes. They are up to something all the time. And then there's Mark. Mark has decided to come up and just have a few days with us, but he feels safer sleeping in his van than being in the cabin with Sam and Steve. So as it's self-catering, we thought we don't want to spend too much time cooking. So we come up with a plan. Just buy a heap load of pizzas. But we did buy extra toppings to put on them. And the boys have got a few other little extras as well. Why isn't the door handle on the door? I'll explain later.
No! We're going to shrink wrap Hammond's van tonight. Pizzas. Well, no, only 11 left now. Hey, get off.
Snack noodles. Crisps.
Snack noodles. Shaun special marmalade.
Breakfast. Pizza.
Show my script.
Pizzas in the oven.
Been there for 2 weeks now. How is it?
I don't know, I don't want to try it.
I don't think you're supposed to cook the bit underneath that comes in the packaging. That's what it tastes like, isn't it? Oh no! Hey, don't eat the tortilla. Kids!
My room.
Oh my god.
That is the boys' room. They got bunk beds.
We're not letting Jimmy Savile in.
One bathroom.
What's he doing in there with a camera in the toilet?
Okay, so this is the morning after. I don't know what's the time?
Do you know what, that sounds wrong, this is the morning after. What have you been doing?
Time last night.
The morning after the pill. Do you want a pill for that?
Look, I'm recording. This isn't what I asked. I said, what's the time?
You've got to say it properly. What's
God.
the time, Mr. 7 a.m.
Okay, so this is not the morning after. It's what then?
It's first morning. It's the middle morning. Are we on the first day, the second day or third day now? What year? What day are we filming? Oh, look, he just put his normal in front of the camera again.
We pretend this is day 2, morning.
Oh,
I'm going to tell them we were fishing, but they weren't there.
Technically it is day 2, because first day didn't really... Day
Yeah.
2 a lot. Day 2
No.
take 9.
Yeah, okay, basically, yes. So we were out on the water yesterday. We were scouting around, giving it a go. What we're finding is that the fish are picking up very small patterns. Buzzers, we were trying the buzzers. A lot of the guys on here do fish the buzzers only. But there were a few fish coming out with the buzzers. We don't know if the buzzer hatch will ever happen. Temperatures are still a bit cold. I don't know what it is in... You've got your fancy clock.
Charge it.
What the temperature is? It's only because
About 9 degrees.
it's quite cold. Okay, but it is quite cold. The boys have these fancy watches, tells you all of this, but they're not very cooperative at the moment. It's too early. What is the time anyway, roughly?
8 o'clock.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Right, we did get up very early, but obviously we were quite knackered last night.
And you have to dress the kids.
This morning it took me a good hour and a half just really get going. I've decided I'm going to fish the day 2 with a couple of lures, put that around the water and then switch straight back over to the floater and go back onto the small naturals. So we'll just give the lures a go and see what happens. talking with everybody on the water, and it was a busy day on the water yesterday as well, and we could well see it being a very busy day again. But everybody on the water checking out what were the methods they were using. If everybody was more consistent, we were checking out what they were doing. But yeah, we'll just see how the day turns out. But the view from the cabin to the lake. Okay, so that's the lake from up by the cabin, and it looks like somebody down there getting ready, kitted up to make an early start. Hey, do you think anyone's going to catch a big fish today?
I don't know, because we're still not fishing yet, and we got up at like 5 o'clock.
No, we didn't. It was like 5:30.
Right, yeah, the alarm's been off for half an hour, but...
Yeah, but what we need, like the guy had yesterday, yeah?
Brown egg.
Fish pellets.
Brown egg. Yeah. It wasn't an egg. We fried it.
It wasn't an egg at the end. Okay, what we're going to do now, we'll select a net. Nets are all supplied. Check there's no holes in the net. I had one yesterday and it had a bloody big hole in it. Didn't notice it, fish went straight through. So check for the holes. But what I do prefer is my own net, and I did forget it. Worst thing, when you're fishing, getting around the water, having to carry this around. Prefer it on the back, more mobile, get the net off, get the fish in, back on, crack on. So I've got to cart it around anyway. So I've got my Loomis IMX, set it up with the Rio Aqua 2. The lure I'm going to put on is probably going to be like the black and green frets. Obviously very popular patterns. That's in there. That's me set up. Give it a go.
Lures normally work quite well on the mornings, but I have been told by the locals up here that the lures just aren't working at the moment. There's no time scale to any method really, so you just got to give it a go.
Just let that go down a little more. I'm watching these fish moving about on the top here. Be deceiving at times. What they're picking off is so small, very hard to imitate. But you know, if you're amongst them with the smaller patterns, you get that chance. I don't know how many fish it was I picked up yesterday, but it was pretty good damn fishing, that was. But it wasn't easy. And obviously, normally we'd be hoping that we'd be well into the buzzers by now, but I think the temperatures just aren't quite good enough at the moment. Seems like the boys are being scattered. Hello!
Fancy seeing you here.
Yeah, innit? Oh, more weed. Sort of just not feeling as confident with this method. It was an idea. Conditions yesterday was, we did have some rain. We had some really heavy mist. You wouldn't have seen anywhere near as much. Well, you wouldn't have seen that side of the lake. It was that misty. Put some decent casts out there. Try different speeds. That'll be the boys, I bet. Definitely messing around. Again, when I'm fishing these methods, I do prefer working my way down through the columns. The water's it's a bit coloured. It's not too bad. A bit of colour on it, right? Most of the fishing we were doing yesterday, I did try to dye this line yesterday and tried a bit of lures in bowling guessing. It wasn't that successful. By far the floating line was the best method, and actually at times it was moving the pattern quite quick, but it was all you know, we're talking 16 and smaller was the best of the patterns. Okay, I've given that a go for about, I don't know, 3/4 of an hour now, maybe an hour. Changed a few patterns. I ended up with a small little, much smaller nymph on in the end. And even that ain't touching them, and I've tried different speeds, different levels, and they're not going for it. And you're certainly covering the fish. There's plenty of fish moving in here, and 1 or 2 corkers. What I did see was a couple of nice browns come out. Well, I seen one nice brown, but I heard the other brown. And you'll always know when it's a brown trout when he's leaping out the water. What you'll notice, you'll hear that flap. The brown trout's tail, as it jumps, keeps swimming. So you'll hear that as it comes out the water. Whereas the rainbows, as they jump, they generally just wait. They're straight in. Brown trout, like the sea trout, tail continue goes. So you'll always know. Without even seeing it, you'll get used to the different sound of the fish jumping. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to head over, see how the boys are doing over the other side there. I haven't noticed them picking anything up. There's a couple more anglers on the water now and nothing much is happening at the moment. Still early days, plenty of fish to cover, mind. But as I say, this method is not the method for the moment.
Okay, so the boys are doing quite well. Steve out on the point there, stood up. He's on the dry fly and he's had one. Sam, who's nearest to us, he's been fishing with the emergers and he's had 2. But they were saying it's still a bit slow compared to yesterday. So I think what I'll do is I'll head off back up to the cabin and pick up the other rod with the floating line on. Unbelievable. First cast, put the line out, tightened up, and the fish picks it up. What the fish has picked up is the little blue. This pattern I've had for quite a few years, and I first used it up here at Garn Fruit, and the intention was to fish it a bit slower, different levels. But on this day, what happened was the fish were moving a lot higher in the columns, so I started moving the pattern a lot faster, and it was pulling a lot of fish. Now, much the same as yesterday, I had this pattern on, fishing it slower, and the fish just weren't interested. But as soon as I started moving it a lot quicker, they were smashing it. And the strange thing is, the water here, visibility for me looking in is only a couple of foot. And yet, this pattern being as small as it is, them fish were coming up and hitting that pattern as quick as I was moving it. But the boys are up on the pontoon up from me, and right opposite me is where Mark's fishing, and that's where I was pulling all the fish yesterday.
Come on, wake up. Off he goes. Bye.
About 8 minutes later, another fish. Unlike the other one where it picked it straight off the top as soon as I cast, this one I've let it drop a little bit and it's a fast figure of 8
Cool.
and the fish has hit it.
Tough things like. Bloody hell. See that go? Go on. There he goes.
What you'll notice here is that the conditions are changing quite a lot. One moment it's dead flat, next minute we're getting a bit of a ripple. But what I find useful is I fish a lot with a 5-foot intermediate braid, and that just helps when the water tension is as it is when it's dead flat. It just helps get that tippet through the surface a lot easier. As quick as the fish come on, they go off again. So I'm just letting the fly drop a bit deeper in the columns.
Well, this fishing for me at the moment is dead slow. Nothing like yesterday. Same sort of pattern. The only difference is what I was tying up last night. I was tying what we've got on, what we had on yesterday, was on a dry fly hook. And the problem is I didn't have any of the same dry fly hooks. And I think that has a big difference. And what these are on then is on a heavier hook. But as I say, yeah, yesterday was hammering the fish with it, and whereas everything else was sort of failing, and then the difference a day makes, tricky.
Recording the most exciting bit of the fishing trip so far.
I know.
Dun, dun, dun. Shaun with the spoon. Remember, you're not allowed near the water on your own.
Yeah.
What'd you do with these? Did you see him crawling across the pond too?
That would have been a good one to go on his tube.
What'd you do?
As soon as we finished lunch, I went straight up to the cabin. Now, just before lunch, I was watching, there's a chap on my left fishing away there, and what he's doing is on the floating line with an indicator, and only about 2 foot down he's got a small olive coloured buzzer on. Now he's had about 3 fish in the last hour, so I know the fish are higher in the water, and I know they're not actually feeding on the buzzer. So my idea was to go up and quickly tie a small, very sparse, with olive dubbing, very fine wire on a size 14 hook, and it got a few hackles at the front end, and just give that a go. Now obviously when I'm fishing this, it's on the floating line, and I want to keep it in that 2 foot area, so I am actually moving this a bit quicker, and it didn't take long and I had my first fish with it. But not all's good. No sooner was I into the fish and the GoPro decides to play up, and then go into freeze mode. I fished that pattern for the next half an hour, not a single touch. I think it was just a matter of right place, right time.
I can come up to have a go as well.
Oh, good, because you can go red. Come up again in a minute.
No, where's the head?
The other end.
Oh my god. You're going to snap it now. It's going to go under the pontoon.
No, he's up by this one, isn't he? Yeah.
Is that a snap? I'll go under there. Oh,
Get off, fish.
he's
Get
going under the
off.
pontoon.
Don't worry. Okay. Oh, blue again.
It's a fish.
Yeah, the
It's
blue.
not, it's a rainbow fish.
Yeah, I got fed up. I'm going to put the blue back on. It's got to work because it's worked all that time.
Fair play. But now stay still. It won't hurt a bit fishy.
No, the hook's too small, so I can't grab it.
Just watching.
That was so bloody small. Oh, wake up.
Got him? Oh, he's throwing the net. Quick, get back, get back.
Yeah. Yeah, little blue.
Let's have a go at your little rod then.
You want to go on my rod?
Yeah.
What for?
Mine's doing something.
Yours is doing something.
Fishing, look.
Yours is fishing,
Yeah.
so you can have a go at mine.
Yeah. Get off the line. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, welcome to Shaun fishing.
Sam with another fish. I think that's on the dry fly. Oh, missed it.
Right, no.
Blue again. Well, you really wouldn't believe it. Yesterday we had such a good day. Conditions were a bit different today. There's a lot sunnier, and this area here held quite a lot of fish, but it's been so different. You never know, tomorrow may be a totally different day again. It's a lovely place though. You know, you don't, if you're up here and you get a few fish, it's a good day.
In the distance there, the lake.
Steve, bend over.
No, it's dinner time. We don't want that. Boil the kettle, do some noodles, put noodles on there and soften it up again. Look at it. Steve's that's not. Oh, you broke it.
Oh look, the boys have put a buffet on. 2 pizzas. There's a couple of biscuits. It's your buffet.
A really good mate of mine used to go fishing with all the time. He owned a fishing shop up in Yorkshire. He only had one leg. He had one pot noodle. Had to call an ambulance and fucking rush him in hospital.
Yeah,
One pot noodle. If you read the calorie things on a pot noodle, it only says per half tub. Who in their right mind would only eat half a tub?
Go on, Steve, show him your new priest. Steve's new priest. Tell you what, this is going to be damn crazy. It's about 1:30 now, and boys have retired. They're making a hell of a noise in their mind. They said they were tired, they're going to bed, and they're still in there talking. I said I'd stay up. I'm trying to put a few patterns together. And rather than do them in the morning, I try and do what I can now, but the lighting in here is so bad. What I thought I'd do is get as much done as I can now, and then I won't have so much to do first thing in the morning, because I'm going to wait for the first bit of light, natural light, so I can see what I'm doing. I really am struggling here. You can see, don't know if you can see it there. So the vise is set up on the worktop. Got my backdrop just give me a bit of light, which is actually one of our cheapy pizzas. They are actually disgusting. There we are. I'm going to crack on, get a couple more done, leave me with less work to do in the morning. See you in the morning. Good night.